Hey everyone. We've been talking a lot about making new connections so that you can ease your way into a new job. But with this, sometimes comes what feel like inevitable awkward pauses in the conversation. So today, we're going to talk a little bit about handling those awkward feeling pauses and doing what you can to minimize them. So, the first thing that I will tell you is to try not to over worry about them. Flows and ebbs and peaks and valleys, all of that stuff in normal conversation are just normal, right? We don't particularly notice it when we're in conversation with friends and family because we don't really feel that same kind of performance anxiety that we feel in an interview. We don't need to feel like we're on in those situations. But in an informational interview, when you're having a conversation with someone that you don't know yet, the pressure can add up a little bit and make those pauses feel a little bit more awkward. But just bear in mind that this is just a regular part of conversation. So try not to make yourself too crazy worrying about it. The next thing I will remind you of is that I'm a big fan of having these kind of initial conversations, either as virtual coffee meetings, which just means you're going to buy your conversation partner a small token of thanks, like a small $5 or $10 Starbucks gift card, or you're actually going to meet at some place like a coffee shop. And what's so sort of added as such a nice added bonus to that is in that kind of situation, when you have what feels like an impending or current awkward pause, you just you have a nice little built-in way to deflect a little bit. You'll stop, you'll take a quick sip of your beverage, you'll take a breath, and that will help you just sort of reorient yourself to the moment, continue the conversation, think about what the next question is that you would like to ask this person. And again, you can do this on camera as well. It's not a problem. Just go ahead and take a sip, move on to your next question. I should make the quick note that if you're doing a virtual coffee, you're just going to want to send that person the token of your thanks. Don't ask. Puts the person in an awkward position of saying yes or no to your question. And it's not, a $5 or $10 gift card like that isn't going to be something that employers don't allow. There are places that don't allow their employees to accept larger gifts, but typically that starts at more like the $25 to $50 range. So your small token of thanks isn't going to be problematic. Just go ahead and send it. So that's kind of how you sort of in the moment buy yourself a little bit of time. But if you want to, and this is certainly something that I recommend, uh, minimize the number of pauses in the conversation, what you can do is prepare some questions in advance. Now, as you're thinking about the folks that you might want to talk with, you're going to come up with some things that are pretty pressing questions about that person's background, about that person's typical work day, the kinds of tasks they do, the environment at the office, hiring opportunities at the office, training to get into this profession, whatever it is. So think through your most pressing questions that you have for this person and write them down. Aim for somewhere in the neighborhood of 5 or 6 of those. And then you'll start the conversation with something like, thank you again so much for your time. I really appreciate this. I'm really excited to learn more. I've got a few questions written down for you, but I also want to be really mindful of your time. So I'll give you a little bit of time at the end in case you have any questions for me, but I just want to be sure to get through these. So let me start with the first one. And then you just begin asking your questions. And I really do kind of believe in having them actually written out in front of you. I'm a big fan of the notepad because then you also have something to do with your hand. So you don't have to worry about that, which is an added stressor for some of us. You're just there to kind of taking some notes, capturing what they're saying. And then as they're speaking, there's a pretty high chance that something or the other that they say is going to spark a question in you. So go ahead and ask that. It's the perfectly natural, normal time to do it after they mention the thing. And you'll just kind of let that flow a little bit. And that's how you keep the conversation feeling a bit more natural. So, at the end of your questions for your conversation partner, You'll want to be sure you do a couple of things. One, of course, is thank them again for their time. Another is do, in fact, give them time to ask you some questions. This is going to let them get to know you a little bit better and also possibly give a set of questions they can ask to provide context for who you are so that they can then better match you with other folks or keep you in mind for things that might be coming up soon. But then be sure at the end of each of these conversations, I have said this before, I will say it again, ask for who else that person recommends that you reach out to. And you'll just say it very much in that way. Hey, thank you again for your time. Really appreciate it. I'm really excited about this field. I wonder if there are other people that you know that you would recommend I reach out to. And may I use your name when I do that? Now, chances are pretty good at this juncture that will actually spark this person to think, "Oh yeah, let me introduce you to my friend. I think you would really enjoy that conversation." Regardless, do try to get the other person's first and last name and the correct spelling, and if possible, the role that person has and the employer. And that just gives you a little bit of a backup if you need it. So if your conversation partner offers to introduce you to that person, then your easy built-in follow-up, if a couple of days go by and you haven't gotten that introduction, is going to be something like, "Hey, thank you again for talking with me. I really enjoyed it. I feel like I understand the work a lot more. I'm feeling very enthusiastic about it, blah, blah, blah. I'm also particularly excited to speak to your contact. Thank you again for offering that introduction. I'm excited to get it." Words to that effect, right? If the person has not offered to introduce you, but has said, "I will share that contact info," you'll say much the same thing. Really excited to get that contact information, that kind of thing. Do be aware, though, that sometimes people simply forget. They mean to send you that information, they forget. This is why it's extra good that you have taken your thorough notes and you have the other person's name and contact information. You just get to follow up. And what you'll say in your outreach to that person is that your first informational interview recommended that you reach out to them. And you'll have this at the end of each of these informational conversations you have with folks so that you can see you are beginning to build up your personal network of contacts. I know nobody likes the word networking, but that really is just all it comes down to. You can call it your web of contacts if that feels better. And then part of this also is that you can steer things in a slightly different direction. So you've had a conversation with a couple of people and you think, "Oh, you know what? It's not actually this thing that we've been talking about. It's that thing that lives just over there. It's a tiny bit different." You can say that. You'll say, "Hey, thank you so much. This has been really exciting. I love hearing how enthusiastic you are about your role. I think I'm probably better suited for that thing over there. Do you know anyone who does that? And who would you recommend I reach out to?" So you're steering this a little bit more in the direction of your own skills and interests, as well as building connections with people who are likely to be colleagues or at least colleague proximate as you move forward in this whole process. And, like I said the other day, do follow up in a way that feels somewhat natural. Again, if people have offered you those introductions, that's a really kind of neat, tidy way to go about it. But you can just, as you think of folks, you can have a quick follow up with them as well. So, I hope this has worked to demystify this process a little bit. As I said, nobody likes to hear the word networking. But if you really do think of it as this kind of relationship building, meeting people who are genuinely interesting to you, establishing yourself a little bit in their eyes as someone who is getting into this field, this employer, whatever it is, you'll find it a lot more natural and comfortable feeling than, feeling like you're always kind of on the spot. You got to go do networking. You're just building relationships. Do let me know, though, if you have questions about this. I'm always happy to answer those. And also let me know if there are topics that are weighing a little bit more heavily on you, because I know things are really difficult right now. So I hope to see you again soon. Thanks.